There we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Between Two Teachers, where we bring you the latest and most important issues of education in our state, in the nation, and our county, locally. And there's so much for us to talk about today. So, my name is Consuelo Lara.
And my name is Madeline Cronenberg. And as always, I'm going to begin with our recognitions. Our first recognition is our labor and body recognition. I acknowledge that the burden of environmental exploitation and systemic injustice falls upon the labor of Black and brown bodies in the building of this country and its institutions. I remember the Black and brown people were born and died working this land against their will for generations. I also acknowledge the continued contribution of the labor of survivors over the centuries to today of all immigrant labor, including voluntary, involuntary, trafficked, forced, and undocumented peoples in the building of what we refer to as these United States. And that was written by Dr. Rochelle Rogers Ard and is part of the beginning of every meeting of the West Contra Costa Unified School District. And we also want to do our land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge that we have gathered on the ancestral territory of Hui Chin, which is part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karken speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland and offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people, past and present. And as always, we encourage you to learn more about the Ohlone people by Googling Justice for Muwekma, where you will learn about their continued fight to become acknowledged as a tribe by the federal government, and also to be able then to get the benefits of that acknowledgement. And we point you to the curriculum that describes the history of the Ohlone people here for our elementary school children, and for anyone who is interested in learning about the background of the Ohlone people. And you can find it on the website of the East Bay Regional Parks District, and you can also find it on the County Office of Education website.
Yes, Contra Costa County Office of Education. The website has a link to About Us, and if you scroll down, there's a land acknowledgement link that gives you lots of information. We have a land acknowledgement before our board meetings, and it's just really important these days with the double downing of book banning books, of eliminating anything around diversity, equity, or inclusion. And so for us to acknowledge this, pass it on to others is really important right now. So thank you.
And so this week we're going to do something a little different. We're going to focus on local issues, because local issues in education have been very prominent this week, and particularly the meeting of the Contra Costa County Board of Ed, where things came to a head, and they don't usually. You had a large group of people there who were looking at budget issues.
Yes. There were two main groups that came together as one, UTR, United Teachers of Richmond, and also the union that represents the county schools. These are the community schools. And both have the same issue. It's about budget and layoffs and getting the salaries that they're supposed to get. So in West Contra Costa, what the situation is, of course, we've got this more than any other area in the county, this teacher shortage is very severe in West Contra Costa. So it is baffling that you would give all these pink slips to people when we're so desperate, not just for teachers, paraprofessionals, staff, classified, and yet you lay off. And again, I think as a parent, that must be so confusing. Like, why would something be like that be happening? I also go to the school site council meeting for Richmond High School, and it's a Title I school. And I'm sure this is happening in all the Title I schools. They got to look at the budget, and then here's the column of, okay, here's the cuts we got to make, how much we can make. And all of these programs are people and programs that directly affect students, our most vulnerable students, and we got to cut them because of what? So that's what we're trying to drill down to the bottom of. Why are there, and I was in the district for 16 years. It just seemed like every single year, oh, we got to cut, we got to cut, we got to cut. And it comes from projections, I believe, that are made by the county superintendent. So that's where we're trying to focus what our, to provide you with some information about how, the trail, we're going to follow the money kind of thing. So how does this happen that we're in this dire strait where we have to cut and fire so many needed individuals? It doesn't make any sense. And the thing I remember about budgets, a budget is a guess. You guess what your revenue is going to be. You guess what your expenses are going to be. Somebody's got to make a guess. So, and there's formulas involved as well. So that's kind of where we are. And at our
these signs that we have here,
and we have these signs that this group of people that came to teachers and others who came to our board meeting, United Teachers of Richmond and our superintendent, Lynn Mackey. Mackey's vacancies hurt students. Mackey's accounting tricks hurt students. And Mackey equals educational negligence. Because all of this hurts teachers, of course, but ultimately hurts students. We have less resources, less people, less programs, and it's unnecessary. That's our point of view. It's not necessary for this to happen. And we're going to try to explain to you why and how.
So the center signs, so these signs were brought by a big group of teachers from United Teachers of Richmond, who represent West Contra Costa, but also teachers from districts around the county and the teachers who are employed by the county. And they were all there explaining this to the board and sort of responding to the superintendent. And just so we understand, the reason that the response is to the superintendent is that she oversees the department for the United Teachers of Richmond, for West Contra Costa, that oversees, that has the ability to oversee the budget of West Contra Costa. And one of the most important parts of a budget are the projections. You have to do a 3-year projection. And those projections always include your cost of living projections. And that's really important because that's the raises that you're going to give. And the cost of living historically is supposed to be just passed through to the employees. The reason that we have a cost of living is that their cost, your employees' cost of living has gone up by a number that is measured by the California Department of Finance. They give that number, they give all of that extra money to the school districts to pass forward on to their employees. That's how it works. That's how it works. And
so the district should not be holding on to that COLA, right? Like saving it or it's not their money, right?
No, it's supposed to be passed through. Cost of living money is passed through. That's there because it's the employee's cost of living. That is how it should work. Okay. So what we have is a situation. This is why it's referred to as the accounting trick. It's not required. It's just understood. The natural protocol is that you're going to use the California Department of finance numbers. Those numbers are put on a website made available to FCMAT. FCMAT is the Fiscal Crisis and Management Assistance Team. They are the people who oversee districts' financial issues. And they were created years ago because the then Richmond Unified School District got into financial crisis. And that ultimately led to the creation of FCMAT. So FCMAT this morning posted their numbers for the statutory COLA. And they get the numbers from the economists at the Department of Finance in Sacramento. The California Department of Finance creates these numbers. It's not somebody else who creates them. It is they who create them. So these are the official statutory COLA numbers as of today for California. And if you see 23-24 was 8.13, 24-25. Now it went down 24-25 and 25-26 and 26-27. It went down this year because we did have a time for it to go down, actually for 23-24 down to 0.76. So it's like below 1%. So that has happened, but that's what they're getting. They know that. They got money last year. Now we're talking about the years that are coming in the future, 24-25, 26-27, and on.
And that's something that employees should expect.
Right.
In the
And
future.
across California, these are the numbers that employees at school districts, that anyone else who runs an agency that employs California workers, they all rely on the statutory COLA. And they are all using these numbers in their projections to be able to say, this is how you're going to budget for the future, right? And you're required to budget for the future, and these are the numbers you're supposed to use.
Okay.
Unfortunately, for unknown reasons, you're allowed to be more conservative if you want to be. You could give no raise. It wouldn't be illegal as far as I can see. But for whatever reason, Ms. Mackey has authorized the overseer of West Contra Costa, Ms. Cleveland, only to allow 1%, not 3.54, not 3.31, not 3.32, not 3.20, but 1%. So that's less than a third of the money that we are being told by the state will be available. So if we're being told we're only going to get 1%, we cannot budget to pay teachers the amount of money that we believe otherwise that we're going to get. And that is why they're firing teachers.
Exactly. In order to have a balanced budget. And that's the goal. But again, these are guesses. These are on her part.
On her part.
On
These
her
are
part.
guesses. Here's what the state experts are saying. The state experts are saying this, and we are guessing that it's going to be 1/3, less than 1/3.
In other words, she's saying they're wrong because she's much smarter than they are or something. I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense. This is, numbers people whose sole job is to create these formulas that are going to be as accurate as possible. So, no, it's just baffling that you would just ignore this.
Right. And the issue is, if you're doing it with the idea that you're trying to be more conservative so that you can save the district the pain of going through cuts in the future, what you're doing is you're creating unnecessary pain now. Because this is what these are the people we can rely on for the calculation. The calculation has been made by the experts, and it doesn't need to be cut down to taking 2/3 of that COLA away. That is what she's done. She's taking 2/3 of the COLA away from the children of West Contra Costa.
For no reason, for no educated, intelligent reason whatsoever. So the domino effect here, okay, we already have a teacher crisis in West Contra, Area 1, like no other in the rest of the county. But now we have to lay off people who, do you think they're going to come back? Do you think they're kind of sick of being laid off all the time? Could go to many places around us and get paid more money. So it exasperates that teacher and staff shortage that we have. The consequence is students are being neglected here. That's why it says negligence. They're being neglected, and that gives rise to social advocacy organizations to intervene. And what's happening? So now there's a lawsuit. So if you follow that, these decisions by Lynn Mackey have created more of a crisis. And not only that, but now there's litigation.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And things are just getting worse. So I always say that county offices provide 3 really important things: professional development, technical support, and networking. Where is the technical support? It's like it doesn't exist. We'll just punish you if you don't do this, technically the way we want it. We'll just take away money. And so there's no logic to this. There's certainly no humanity in this. And so it's just a terrible situation. It's a mess. It's a mess. That's an unnecessary mess.
It is very unnecessary. And instead of, this is a school district where in the past, when people have suffered through major cuts, they've marched to Sacramento and done a hunger strike. I'm almost waiting for somebody to march to Martinez or to Pleasant Hill in front of the county office building and do a hunger strike.
That's because this one's worse than those ones in the past.
Yes, and this is totally arbitrary. It's arbitrary and capricious. It makes the lawsuit that has been filed for inability to staff low-income schools. It makes that lawsuit, it undermines any effort to try to address that lawsuit, and makes, really, I believe, the county is complicit in the lawsuit because they are making it much more difficult to staff any school.
Yeah, they should be included in the lawsuit, the county office. Absolutely, because they're contributing to this. So it's just one bad thing after another. And I just have to shout out to those teachers that came. It took a lot of courage for them to come and speak, and bless their hearts. They're exhausted. At the beginning of when I got on the board, I tried to communicate as much as possible to all the teachers, and that's just the one thing I noticed the most. They're tired. And, like somebody said last night, we get the most vulnerable. They get sent to the county, and those are the people that are taking care of those children. And they love their job. They don't want to leave. Oh my God.
They've been there many years. These are veteran teachers. But what is happening with them, they're not given they have a slightly different issue with the COLA, but the idea is the same, where they are not being given the full COLA.
Yeah.
They're being given half of what they received.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the same idea around these manipulation. Remember, they're calling it tricks. And that's why literally these signs were made. These signs that, people don't just go and have signs made for no reason. Right. Yeah. The reason these signs were made, right, and then take a time out at night to go marching down to another city, and this is during their break. These teachers went during their holiday week, right? Why did they do that? They did that because they're trying to advocate for the children that they teach.
That's
That
it.
is literally what they did. And the vacancies hurt children. Her decision around the accounting colas makes it more difficult to bring in teachers to run programs for these children. They are accounting tricks, right? They're not gonna hold up. No one else in California is using these numbers. She's using them. She's not accepting the numbers from the state of California. And it is educational negligence.
Absolutely, absolutely. And every one of those speakers, talked about students. And I haven't heard her say, well, this is going to help students. We cut this back. This is how is this going to help students?
Yeah,
And that should be what we're all about.
that's right. That's right. And you go year by year. What was interesting to me is with FCMAT, she didn't even do one of their years. She just took all of them out and made them all 1%.
Yeah, yeah. Year after year after year. So she didn't even learn from her, mistakes in the past where she was not correct and fix it, adjust it so she could be more. Yeah, she didn't.
Well, the thing is, this is not the job of the superintendent. This is the job of the Department of Finance. The Department of Finance, they have economists who set the statutory COLA.
Yeah.
That's their job. And that's why FCMAT posts. If you want to find out what it is, you go to the FCMAT website. There it is. And that's what you use in negotiations and bargaining. And basically that's what you pass through to your employees.
Got it. Well, like I had said earlier, I was looking at this from the perspective of a parent and a community person. And I may think I get this now. I understand where the mistakes are and how to make this right. This needs to be made right, and it can be. There are those reserves. You can't deny that they have those things in reserve, both the county and the district.
That's right. And you can simply apply the numbers that everybody else in the state is using, the state approved statutory numbers. And if you do that, you will not have have educational negligence. I mean, it is without doubt that we all wish the numbers were higher overall, but that's a whole separate story. This is how do you operate within the money that the state of California is giving you.
Yes, that's exactly
what we're talking about. And accounting tricks need to be called out when they certainly are based on assumptions that are really unfair to these children.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the, from what I heard from the teachers, comparing salaries to other places that don't have such a high cost of living, that's really not a fair thing to do. And I was really glad they broke down, what it costs to live around here. It's very clear that this is what teachers deserve to have, what's coming that's allocated for them, and should not be denied by this, arbitrary decisions of one person. So
hopefully we'll have an opportunity. I mean, the answer here is to have a public conversation around how decisions get made, and particularly a decision like this to reduce the state numbers that the state is giving you, and have that conversation very soon at both boards of education, the county and the district.
So one of the things the county board does do is that we vote on the budget. And we say, okay, and we had a great budget training last year. Mr. Clark, he conducted that and he even said, because of our request for a explanation of the budget, he changed some of the way that the format, the structure, so that it was more understandable and clear. So I'm going to request the same thing. I'm not going to approve a budget that isn't talking about all of these issues that have come up, the reserve, the COLA, projections, and all of that, how that fits into salaries specifically. Because I want, and it has to be public. The public needs to be able to come and ask questions about this because this directly affects students. I hope parents will come because this affects their children. So that is something that we do. And, you know, we can't vote on a budget we don't understand, or that's not fair. That's not a good budget. So that is one thing I'm going to request. So,
And so that would be for the
County.
budget for the county employees, the teachers that teach at the county schools, right? But in the context of that conversation, you can also bring up the decisions that are made in oversight, right? That obviously the oversight of the West Contra Costa has determined through Miss Mackey's office that the COLA can only be 1%. And certainly there's an explanation that needs to be heard.
yeah, because the question is, okay, I understand how you do this for our court community schools. Do you happen to apply that to the other
The
projections?
schools, yeah, the schools that you oversee, right?
Schools overseas, just wondering. So, yeah, we need an answer. We need answers to all those questions for sure. So,
And the issue here is that this needs to happen very soon. It needs to be expedited because the people who, if we go ahead with the numbers as they are now, that they have now been given to people, people are going to lose their jobs and those lives are going to change and they're not going to come back. And it's going to exacerbate the problems that the lawsuit has been brought for. Right. All of those things are going to happen if these issues are not addressed in a really a timely fashion within the next week or 2 weeks.
so West Contra Costa, the board did approve a budget with a lot of cuts, right? They went ahead and approved that. So in March is when the pink slips go out, right?
That is correct. And that budget had the 1% assumption as opposed to the FCMAT assumption.
That's too bad.
Well, it has to be undone.
They could undo it.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
okay.
can only but they can undo it if they're if the county, this is the issue, the 1% issue. If the county says no, you can't because you don't have more than 1% coming.
Okay, so that's again on Lynn Mackey. That's got to come from that office. Okay, good to know. Good to know here.
That's the issue. That's the issue, right? And I think we just have to be, we have to say, if you're deciding that you want to be that conservative, that it's the consequence is that money goes somewhere. The money is going to come in and it's going to go into the reserve. So it's going to sit somewhere and it's not going to serve children, which is what it was meant to do.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the consequence of that decision.
exactly. Well,
all right. So the purpose of our episode today is to give you a call to action, right? Everybody who's watching this needs to understand the issue and then let us move forward and fix it, right? If Miss Mackey, if you're watching and you have an answer, please call us. Let us know. You can come here, right? This is not an issue of negotiations. This is a public document. The budgets are public documents. The COLA assumptions are public matters, and those COLA assumptions are driven by your office.
Yep. And
right?
so we need these answers to these.
Because why are you not accepting the FCMAT numbers? That's the question. And why are some districts, most districts, having no problem accepting FCMAT for their children, and we are not allowed to accept and use FCMAT for ours?
Doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Not to us.
Yeah.
So we hope we hear from you. We hope that board members and union members across the coalition and across the state pay attention to this and realize this is a mistake, and it can be fixed, and now is the time to fix it.
Yeah, at this time in our county, several districts are in negotiations as we speak. So this is critical, and the time is, passing quickly. We
Yeah.
need to be aware. All right.
So that's it for us. We don't have a shout. Our shout out this week is to the wonderful teachers that came forward
Yes.
Right. and did what they did, because they did an incredible job. Let's see if I have any pictures of them.
I have posted the meeting itself, so you can actually hear what the teachers have to say. What else? Oh,
And it's posted on the Between Two Teachers Facebook page also. So you can
Yes.
see it. You can see it there as well.
Yes.
And it's very worth your time to understand the issue. But the subtext, the thing that you need to understand is how COLA works and how it's being abused here.
There you go. That's the point. All right. Yeah, shout out to those teachers. I just love them. I'm going to come back and visit them very soon at those schools, and shout out to them. It took a lot of courage for them to
It
do.
did. And shout out to the UTR teachers and the teachers from Stige who've been the center of the lawsuit, who came and spoke for their children.
Yeah.
Right? They're all people who took time off and spent a lot of time bringing the issue forward. And now we need to solve it.
Yes. And it's solvable, everybody. This is a good one.
Yeah. This is an arbitrary decision that's simply wrong, and it needs to be.
And it can be changed. Very good.
So till next time, hopefully we'll come back with better news on this front on Between Two Teachers.